Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Talk Scottish Football, episode number
48. 48.
Is it 48?
I think so.
What he's doing for the 50th?
I haven't thought about that
Don't
yet.
know, it's nearly
It's going to coincide with our 1 year anniversary though.
Is
1
it?
year
anniversary.
Because it's January 12th, I think.
Me and you off to the Philippines.
Yeah.
The Philippines, what you going to do there? Maldives sounds a bit more.
I don't know, I couldn't think of it.
The Philippines?
Yeah,
You dirty bastard.
I've got a dreadful joke in my mind that I was going to not make.
But David, you're back.
I'm fine, yeah.
Refreshed.
What do you mean? I live here. I've been here the whole time. I've just not been on the podcast.
Well, you're back in the podcast.
Wouldn't
mate.
be mixing households.
No, of course not.
Not this day and age.
It's nice to see you again, mate.
Yeah, mate. I'm just happy Div's back, you know.
And Div, of course, as I was about to come on to, you're back here for the Derby Spectacular. Rafe
Is that
Rovers
what we're calling it?
But it's nice to have you back on again. I'm sure this
Cheers.
time is going to be a bit more interesting towards
Can't
the
even remember the last time you
Rangers
were
side
on.
of
Was it
things.
probably the last Old Firm preview, was it?
No, I've been on a
you
couple
came
since
on-
then.
you came on for a...
My last one was I beat you in the quiz. You battered me and I went all or nothing.
I've actually had a shock in a quiz. I think I've only won one out of the two since. Kieran beat me, I think.
I'm terrible at quizzes though.
Mate, you should
I
see
beat
it.
him last time.
I'm alright at ones where I can think about it, but see when you put the timer on and
Aye.
that, my
Mate,
starts going like
have
clappers.
you watched the last couple you've not been on?
Yeah,
Have
I've
you
watched them. I hear.
See, to be fair, I've turned off as well when Big Davey's not moving.
Have you seen the quizzes?
No,
It's
well,
been 1-0 every time it's somebody out of 10 questions.
well, the last quiz we did, Kieran asked the questions, and the first question was like me. It was like, who plays at Station Park? And I knew that straight away because lower league knowledge. And like, he's just like, I don't know, fucking Scooby about any of
I
this
think the
stuff.
last quiz I watched, there was like 3 or 4 questions that you asked when I was on here,
Aye.
and they were asked to you and you didn't get them.
I know, it was funny because I
It's
remember
pathetic.
Callum was like, who plays at blah blah blah, and I was like,
The most northern
the most
stadium or
stuff like that.
something, and I'm like,
that's been asked before. I think I got that one, it was the other ones I didn't
no,
get.
I don't think you did.
Did I not get
I don't
it?
know you did.
Oh well, anyway, we're back and we're here to talk about a few things today. We're here
I
to
remembered one though.
remember
It was a 36 0 35
That
0
was
one.
it.
We've been
was the
doing
one.
lots of talking about a
That was
quiz,
the one.
considering we don't have one.
I know. We're getting
effectively
everybody's
ridiculous.
hopes up
I
today
know.
that there's going to be a quiz. But a lot of things to talk about, and it's the fact we're back. It's New Year Spectacular. We'll talk about it all as we go on. But we may as well start with a quick roundup of everything that's happened midweek, because there's going to be a long conversation, I imagine, about the game that's on everybody's mind this weekend. But we'll start
Speak
with...
for yourselves.
Wait, you're not caring about it now?
It's not on my mind.
What about the views?
Oh, aye, they'll be sweet. I hope you say something really stupid that gets put out on TikTok.
Wait till I say, Lee Griffiths will score 5 at Ibrox this weekend.
That's that getting clipped now.
I know exactly. It was a joke. So we'll start off with last night. We'll start off with the wins that head into this game. Rangers 2, St Mirren 0. Div, I'll come to you because you've, I assume, watched the game. I assume you have opinions of the game. So what did you make of what looked to be a routine win for Rangers?
I think it was exactly that. Rangers went out, struggled to create chances in the beginning. You know what it's like, you go up against a team that are sitting in and stuff like that. And then they get the first goal. It's actually a nice wee bit of play. Hadji in a tight area, puts Kemar Roof through, hits the target, gets a bit of luck, goes in the back of the net, and they never really looked back for him. And then they go on to get the second goal, and it was kind of finished after that. Obviously class for Morelos to get a goal, quite timely as well, because he has been going through a drought, just coming back for suspension and stuff, so that was class. So biggest positive I think to take out the game is that our 2 number 9 scored going out of the derby.
It was one of the games, could lightning strike twice? I think every Celtic fan would have been sided with me and saying, could this be a game where Rangers drop? But we knew it was never going to happen. Rangers were always going to get through. I'll tell you one thing, and before I come to your opinions of the game, David, Kemar Roof, what a player, man. He is turning out, what a signing.
I said
He's
like 2 weeks ago, he's Rangers main striker now for me.
He's just
he's
unbelievable.
the
I mean,
man.
if you lose,
You might not agree with that, but I think
if you do lose Morelos, I don't think it hurts as much as what it would have.
I still think it does, to be fair. I think a lot of his work was going to be a bit unnoticed. Like, everybody was saying, oh, he's still putting in an effort and stuff like that. But my mate said to me, what happens when maybe the goals start drying up for Rangers and he's still not scoring? He might come under a bit of criticism. And he started to get a wee bit of criticism, and then he went out for suspension, and everybody noticed what he was kind of bringing to the team at that point. When we went to St Mirren and it looked like something was missing, then we played Motherwell and it took us to maybe the 70th minute. He just drags defenders here and everywhere. For all I think Kemar Roof is unbelievable. Technically he looks class and maybe looks a class above the league at the moment with the way he's performing week in, week out. And I still think he's got levels to go. Alfredo he's a nuisance, and I think when he's on the team sheet, other defenders don't want to see that.
It's definitely top.
Because he gives him a hard game, start to finish, even if he isn't scoring.
Well,
even if he's not.
I made that point to you about when he's not scoring Old Firm games. I've very rarely seen him have an Old Firm game where he hasn't had an impact on the game in a positive sense, in terms of, whether it's just dragging out defenders into areas they don't want to be, just creating space for others. He always tends to have an impact with what he does without the ball, almost as much with it. But yeah, Roof's been amazing. I think he's just... Yeah.
He's something different. You've been off the show ever since St Mirren have kind of had a wee bit of a resurgence. They're up to...
So have Celtic since I've been away.
I know, exactly. Fuck off.
Stay here, mate. Just stay.
But St Mirren are up to 7th in the table now. Jim Goodwin seems to be getting things back together. I don't think we can look into a league loss to Rangers too much, but watching from the sides...
Called it. Said it for months they'd be fine with him. Too good a manager to let that team.
Side in that, just
and the squad of players were, last season they always had. St Mirren last season were a difficult one because they were down near the bottom, but you always felt like they had a level to go in terms of lots of young players there, especially that can kind of step up. And without the two, wins that were given against them that may or may not now be given against them, I think they were unbeaten in 11 or something for a wee run there, or something ridiculous like that. So yeah, they're in great form, and it's good to see that they're having a resurgence. But all the teams down the bottom just now are actually in a decent wee spell. Hamilton in a decent wee spell just now. Ross County obviously got their first win last night. Livy have been flying. So
they are flying.
We've gone from a point where it looked like the sort of bottom four were maybe cutting away to now they're all winning. And the relegation battle is up in the air.
You look at somebody like, we'll come on to all these teams, but you look at Motherwell, who we're talking about, now they're going in to kind of solidify themselves a top 5 team. They're now down in 10th because these teams are now performing.
That's what I was thinking last night as well. Motherwell are right in amongst this relegation tussle now, with the 3-0s getting took away from them, and that's after they maybe going for a good wee spell. They got a couple of draws, didn't they?
Yeah.
And yesterday I thought they'll go and beat Kilmarnock, who are struggling, and then Kelly go there. Do you know what I mean? And they beat them, so
Motherwell obviously never helped themselves going down to 10 men, but by that point, Kilmarnock looked straight sailing anyway. A 2-0 win. Alex Dyer. Let's touch on it very quickly. The letter.
Brilliant, man.
Shambles. Absolutely shocking, man.
What I find strange about it is you get idiots like that on social media. And if someone had said to me, someone had tweeted the club account or something like that, I'd have gone, it wouldn't have been a surprise. Do you know what I mean? Because you get idiots on social media, but someone's actually gone out of their way
to write a letter.
That's just fucking bizarre.
How disgruntled can you be?
But it's not even disgruntled. It's just brainless. I just don't understand.
They need to identify the person, don't they? Punish them accordingly.
But I mean, Kilmarnock on the other side, on the flip side, it's their first win in the last 4 or 5 games. So Alex Dyer will be happy to get that behind them. The question I pose to you now: is this Robinson's last season at Motherwell, do you think? Do you think it's time is dwindling for him? How much patience do you think?
A lot of Motherwell fans want him gone now. I was reading through their Twitter last night. A lot of them want him gone now. I don't know, man. I mean, it's for a club like Motherwell, and you'll get people, this is something that Tam Cowan said to us when we had him on the show. He was like, we were great last season, but Motherwell were punching above their weight. In terms of a budget, Motherwell isn't like a top 5 club. They're on a pretty, small budget. It probably shocked quite a few people, actually. So they overachieved so much, and Stephen Robinson then has become a victim of his own success. I think and they should stay up. They've got too good a squad to go down, I think. But the longer they stay down the bottom and can't string wins together, the more questions will arise.
We said that about Hearts last season, though, didn't we? And
exactly,
they probably have a better squad than Motherwell.
I mean, Hearts do have a better squad right now than Motherwell.
They have surprised me with their form this year, especially like Gallagher went away to the national team and he obviously performed class. I don't know how much he is to blame for what's going on and stuff. Obviously, it's in 11, but you'd think with maybe players like him, they would perform a wee bit better. But I think that's a good point you make about the budget. A lot of the work that Robinson needs to do is like in the lower leagues of England and maybe even the lower leagues of Scotland. And then they lost David Turnbull as well into the season. So you would think potentially they'll back him a wee bit in January or at the end of the season to try and revitalise the squad. They need goals. For all, Tony Watt was having a good season for a wee while and he scored the other day. He probably should have scored yesterday as well. Looking at the highlights, had a good couple of opportunities. I think they just need a striker in there that is going to be a nuisance and score goals. Do you know what I mean? It might be hard for Motherwell.
That's the thing. I think Motherwell, what they're missing right now that they've had over the last few years are players who do get in your face, players who are
Louis Moult would be perfect for them right now.
Players who are a nuisance, as you've said, and I feel like they're probably missing that. Tony Watt, for as much as I like him and as much as I could say good words about him, I don't feel like he's the same nuisance as the players I've had in the past. Your Louis Moult, your Curtis Mains, your Ryan Bowmans, all these players. I feel like they're missing a wee cutting edge in that.
The Turnbull thing's interesting because I said right at the start of the season, Turnbull leaving Motherwell will be the best thing that happens to them this season, and I after that, they went in a wee run.
I looked for it.
They started to pull some results again. It was at the same time that Hibs and Aberdeen were both faltering, and I said, if there's any team that can challenge for third out of Hibs and Aberdeen, it'll be Motherwell. Thought they put on a wee run, and they've just not materialised. And to me, it should have been a sort of seamless transition from what they were doing last season to continue that. But they're struggling. You mentioned Declan Gallagher. He's not the only one. Alan Campbell for the Scottish 21 has been fantastic. All the rumours of him going to Aberdeen and other clubs in the summer. They've got good players there. It is bizarre, but as you said, we said Hearts couldn't go down, and look what happened. So they need to get results sooner rather than later. Right,
we'll move on to Celtic 3, Dundee United 0. Ismaila Soro and David Turnbull both in the score sheets, and once again, since you've been away, a kind of revelation unfolding between they two, becoming Celtic's main guys.
Well, you don't have to tell me about David Turnbull.
I know, you've been saying for
screaming
a long
since
time,
August that he should play.
David, from an outside point of view, what's it like watching on these two new guys coming through? Well, I say new guys, we all know who David Turnbull is, we all know how good a player he's been, but now the new guy at Celtic, how is it watching these two come through? Are any players that have impressed you since coming into the Celtic team?
Aye, definitely.
That's what you said, David. I know we've got the same name, but normally you kind of...
To be honest, I've not seen Celtic that much in the last few weeks. Before that, I did see them a lot. Do you know what I mean? In Europe and stuff like that.
That was a laugh, wasn't it?
Everybody knew what Turnbull was all about. And his swagger is something that I think's class. When you go to a club like Celtic, you go to a big club, you need to go in there and think you're the man. I think he's done that, and it's shown in his performances. Sorrow, on the other hand, you'll need to maybe educate me a wee bit more in what he does. I'm seeing him being compared to Kante and stuff like that. So I'm assuming he's like a CDM, breaks up play. But what I'm quite interested in is he got legs? Is he get about?
So that's the difference. That's why they all rave about him in terms of Brown, is that he can get about.
He can get about. So that's the difference.
It's like constant. I would love to. I've not seen a specific stat yet, but I'd love to see the stat of how much he's covering, and
I saw his heat map from the game the other night, and it's just I think the two areas he was the most were just his side of the halfway line and kind of just. So it's like a lot. Basically, I think this weekend will be a massive challenge for him, and we'll come on to it. But in terms of what he brings to Celtic in games they're expected to win, he's a lot quicker with Brown at using the ball. He's a lot quicker at Brown than getting out to the ball. So it's been positive. But Turnbull's the man, isn't he? He is the man.
Whereas you get Brown, who kind of tries to slow down the play, maybe give away a foul. You've got Sorrow and the other chances just right in amongst it, gets the ball, looks for the pass, and then we're off. And with him and Turnbull right ahead of him, as it was displayed yesterday, works a charm. Sorrow's goal, an absolute topper. I mean, Seagrass should have saved it.
Couldn't believe he wasn't getting a flag.
But it was some strike, to say the least. Turnbull, good goal. Dylan Edouard, good goal. The main conversation I think the Celtic fans will talk about from yesterday, apart from perhaps Sorrow and Turnbull, is Griffiths and Edouard are getting there. The combination, the partnership is looking to be coming back.
It's quite telling that Edouard and Morelos have both finally found the goal scoring touch just in the nick of time ahead of this game. Because last season it was always they were both on top form, and it was like which of the two is going to stand out. Now they've both not been in goal scoring form, and now they've finally got that. So there's that wee element to the game at the weekend as well, which will add an added bit of spice.
I think the two of them, to touch on them, can still go through the levels. I don't know what Edouard's been over the course of 90 minutes, but I thought yesterday Morelos was my man of the match. So that's pleasing for me getting into it. Not just in front of goal, but his link-up play yesterday was really, really good. How was Edouard's in that respect?
Oh, it was
it just a goal, or was it everything?
I think Edouard played 80 minutes of the game, then he was taken off. Probably save minutes for the weekend.
Ryan Kent never started for Rangers yesterday as well.
That was quite telling.
But Edouard, both Edouard and Griffiths, the passing and everything, it was brilliant. The link up, there wasn't a fault in the game. It looked for a long time in the game it wasn't going to happen for Edouard in terms of scoring. A lot of opportunities fell his way, and it looked it wasn't his day. Every shot he took was blocked, or somebody would come in at the last second, take the ball, and it looked so it wasn't going to work for him. But everything he done to link up with Griffiths just looked. Looked like what we've seen that last 3 months, and that's been the story of the last 2-3 games for Celtic now. So I don't know if we've hit that height yet, but we're certainly getting there, and that's what matters, especially with this game coming up at the weekend, because what we've raved about for so long, since January, so for a whole year now, what we've raved about was Griffiths and Edouard on form playing against Rangers. Then of course the league was stopped right before the game, we never got to see it. and then
Was
we
it
never went
Griffiths and Edward in a 3-5-2 though? Is it a different formation?
It's
there?
like it's
a
like
diamond.
four,
Diamond
it's
in the
like
middle,
a-
four
aye, it's a
forward
wee
diamond.
diamond,
People
aye.
shouting about diamond.
So it's a wee bit of a change. So
It's going to be a fascinating
it's
setup
going
for
to be a
this game.
fascinating game.
It'll be interesting.
Aye,
Aye.
but it's nice
Shall
to
we
see
go
them
on
back
it?
together. David, did you have a point?
Yeah, just on Edward, I think that the Old Firm game, I think suits his style of play a little bit better. In that, you know, they watched the game last night. It's so congested in that final third. Dundee United I thought did really well. I know they got beat 3-0, but I thought they did well for the large part in terms of closing down space. And it's difficult, especially when you're not in form and you've got no space to work with, to try and be the guy to come up with that bit of magic when you're not fully flying. So for him to get a goal from open play will make the world of difference, I think, going into the weekend.
Right, St Johnstone 0, Hamilton 0. No much to say.
It's the only one I never clicked on to watch the highlights. I'm not going to lie.
Why would you?
Ruin my coupon, but a great result for Hamilton.
A great result for Hamilton. St Johnstone.
Viva Brian Rice, by the way. Fair play to him. He's turned it
Wasn't it a
around.
good result for me because I put Stevie May into my fantasy team thinking he might
Oh.
get a wee goal or two.
Oh.
Nah.
But I mean, St John's stuck on right through a right big dry patch now. That's 5 games in the bounce without a win. I think it may be more than that. But it never helped them at all. A draw is not the result they needed when they're welcoming a team that they're better than on paper.
And anywhere away from home for Hamilton is a good point.
Yeah.
So and fair play to Brian Rice.
I'm not clean sheet.
He was written off by
No.
everyone.
No.
Everyone wrote him off, and he's and he's had no luck as well with the
No.
COVID and the injuries they've had. To
I know, 'cause
still
you look at somebody like Templeton, who's their key man, you could say.
He makes a difference. He comes on, big Ocampo and stuff.
So the last 3 weeks they've not had their set of midfielders. I think Brian Rice said they had 7 or 8 of their first team missing in the game against Celtic. It was maybe the game before Celtic.
No, that was the Celtic game.
It was at the Celtic game as well. They had so many missing.
Was it 9 missing for
I
the
thought it was
Celtic
9 or
game?
10,
It was 9 or 10 missing, but I think he said
he said
7
7 or
that
8
would
would
have
have started in the match.
Aye.
What was it like in yesterday's game? Do you know the lineup if they had players
For
back or
Hamilton,
anything like that?
we'll have a look at the lineup
Aye.
yesterday. Well, had Moyo on.
He played Celtic,
Dolphin
so-
was still in there. Hodgson
Aye.
was back in. Hamilton, Easton. It looked like a
strong
enough
team,
team. I
aye.
think there was a couple of changes in there. But nonetheless, a strong point. And we'll move on to what was the shock of the weekend, and what a result
Delighted.
for big Yogi John Hughes. Ross County 2, Hibs 0. Are they Hibs in it, man? Or is it just John Hughes masterclass?
It's what they've been struggling with all season. It's consistency.
Aye, it's
They've
just
looked
every season.
the way to
Every
Ibrox. They
season.
looked brilliant. Boy Neal in the middle of the park was sensational. Really good.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
I think if he was in another team and there was guys maybe getting on the end of some of his crosses, man, they could have had a few goals in that game, but they were nowhere near it really in that. So you're thinking in this game they'll go into it and they'll handle Ross County. Yeah. Maybe he'll take over again and they'll go and they'll beat them handedly. But no,
For me,
credit
it's
to Ross
just Hibs
County.
down to a T. Like in my life, it's what I've known Hibs as. Like on their day, they are probably the team in the league I've always thought would give both the Old Firm the best game in terms of attacking wise.
Hibs
have always been an
actually in the
attacking
games
team,
as well.
and they've still got that. We've seen their attacking throughout the season. Nisbet, Doidge, Newley have talked about going forward. Martin Boyle, but consistency. You're right. It just kills them every time, and that's why I think a lot of people still think Aberdeen will pit them to third, because Aberdeen, for all Aberdeen have their iffy moments, they don't tend to go through prolonged periods of dropping points to teams they shouldn't do. So yeah, a frustrating one. But John Hughes, did you hear his post match?
No, mate.
Oh, go and
that's
listen
what
to
I was
that.
about to say. You've been dying to
brilliant.
you've been dying to take the flare here. You're dying to rave
I
about
was sitting
John
here-
Hughes. Take it
I
away.
was just sitting there listening to his post match last night, and he talked about. You could just see a smile on his face, delighted, and he said basically he's had some time in the training pitch. All he wants from his players is, when you've got the ball, be brave, make angles for each other, keep the ball, work hard, and the rest will come. And it's such basic stuff. But see, for a team like Ross County, it's all you need. If you do the basics right, you've got every chance. And the way he spoke last night, why wouldn't you want to play for him? He just sounds like the sort of guy you'd want to play with. And I said it when he got appointed. John Hughes can go one of two ways. It can be fucking unbelievable or a disaster, depending on how the players respond. And I think
It's a disaster.
It's a good chance.
with the players Ross County have got, I think it'll work well. And he's think of some of the jobs he's done, like Inverness, winning the cup.
Inverness was a
Inverness.
big one. That was the first kind of time.
I think he's 100% going to keep County up this year.
Everybody spoke about how good a coach is as well.
Aye.
Seen people talking about that.
Aye,
So
certainly.
it'll be interesting to see how they kick on for us.
Right, I'll quickly jump over the championship scores from Tuesday just to give people who may have not seen it a little bit of insight, and then David, I'll let you kind of touch on the big result in the championship. So we had Ayr 1, Morton 1, Inverness 1, Dunfermline 1, Rafe 0, Queen of the South 2, Dundee 3, Alloa 1, and Hearts 3, Arbroath 1. Queen of the South knocking off Rafe.
Unbelievable.
What was your initial thoughts?
Knocking off.
That's plenty for me. You still thinking about the Philippines?
It's not left my mind off podcast.
What a mad night. Dunfermline have got really lucky recently. I know you wanted me to talk about Queen of the South, but I'm going to segue into them. Where we've dropped points and the rest of the results are still going to go our way. So Ayr, Morton drew. Wraith obviously got beat. I know Dundee won, but they're still a wee bit behind. But Queen of the South, what a result for them. I don't think anybody would have backed them to go to Wraith and win. You know, I think everyone wants them to get, well, at least certainly I want them to get relegated now for the fucking George Galloway fiasco, which I don't think we've touched on.
We've not
seen you tweeting about
that. Just bad crack. But amazing. What I loved was the Wraith Rovers commentary from the game was Queen of the South put the second goal and they were just like, and Queen of the South have made it 2-0, and they're celebrating like they've won the league. They were so bitter. It was just fantastic. But fair play to them, and you know, it just proves how mad the championship is. If you win 2 games, you can be right up the top. You lose 2, you're right down the bottom. It's a mad.
Queen of the South are the team that everybody's been talking about that are just going to get scalped left, right, centre, and get down this year as well.
It's always like that.
Really positive for them.
You know, differentiate the teams who, you know, you look at Allen or Brough, they've just not got it clicking at all.
They've still got Dobie.
Yeah,
have they?
Well, Brough, so Allen managed to pick up a couple of wins. Brough haven't managed to get it clicking yet. But that's what you're saying. You know, if a Brough can string, say, 2 wins together, then Queen of the South find themselves back in that situation. But these wins against top teams will
anyone can beat anyone. It's the best thing about it.
But we'll move on.
On Dobie though, really quickly before you move on. Dobie's last really good season for Queen of the South. Do you know who partnered him up front?
Dykes.
Lyndon Dykes. And at the time, we all raved about Stephen Dobie. But in reality, Dykes would have been. Dykes was such a help to him.
Do you know what just shows that stats are one load of shite as well?
Yeah.
When Lyndon Dykes came out of the league, I remember we spoke about it. 2 goals in so many seasons for Queen of the South. How's he going to come in and impact this league?
Yeah.
It means fuck all, do you know what I mean? It's all about perspective. He's obviously been partner Dobie, as you say, doing all the doggy work.
Yeah.
All the knock-ons and everything that he's famous for.
It's like all the expected
and he's been
goals
getting the rewards.
shite and all that.
Well, see the expected goals.
That's a load of shit.
Right.
But even like your assists and your goals can sometimes be a wee bit misleading and Dykes' fault.
On the expected goal stuff, because I know we've all slagged it off when we've talked about it, and I'm still not getting my head around it, but I've started trying to make an effort to get my head around it, and I understand it.
At least you're trying.
But I'm still in the mindset of why do we need it? Like, I know what it signifies, but what's the point? Like, I can watch a game and I can understand who was on top and who I would expect to win the game.
Yep.
Based on watching the game.
And
so then for people who haven't watched the game, maybe it's a quick way, it gives you an insight into who was on top. So say you haven't watched the game and you see that Queen, so say you see Queen of the South win 2-0, right? But you check the stats, expected goals, Rovers 3, Queens 1. You haven't watched the game, but you know straight away that Queens have nicked it and Rovers are on top. So from that point of view, I kind of get it.
But then I like the way that
it's quick as looking through all the stats.
Maybe just something that we don't need to focus on as football fans. It's something that the coaching staff maybe need to look at more. And now it's kind of leaked into the psyche of a football fan. People are like, what the fuck is going on here? Do you know what I mean? It's potentially, from my point of view, for coaches to look at, and let's say they get 2 or 3 expected goals, they might look, right, well, how did this happen? It might be for the same phase of play, so they might run that next week or something along those lines. I don't think we need to get right into it though, do you know what I mean? As football fans, we can just look
David
at it and say,
I always use this phrase, and it was David who first used this to me like months ago, and I love it. I just preferred the days where we talked about actual goals. You know?
I preferred the days when we spoke about the games as well, and no red cards and penalty appeals and fucking offsides and VAR and do you know what I mean?
The game's gone, man.
I'm finished. See you later.
I'm done with the podcast. Right, well, it's about that time. Still trying to figure out what's wrong with the Philippines though.
Nothing, it's just whatever it's your head that we're going to figure out what's wrong with it, not the Philippines.
Excuse
me.
It's
a lovely country.
I'm sure it's class, but why would you go to the Philippines if it wasn't for?
I've got a mate who buggers off.
You don't think
let's just put it this way, there's some dirty bastards out there that'll go to the Philippines to knock off. Let's say. I think it's just Asia, mate.
I've got a mate that buggers off to Thailand every winter, and he'll probably be watching. And we all just jar him about what he gets up to over there.
What, he fucks off himself?
Aye, just goes to... Anybody called Jeffrey?
He goes to himself?
Goes to Thailand every year.
Fair enough, it's
fair play.
Class, they're lovely countries.
But I would love to know what he gets up to. He doesn't tell us, but if you're watching... I
don't want to know what you got up to, mate, right?
Well, it's that time. It's the most exciting time of the year.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Don't ever do that again, please.
Tim's like,
I'm ready to leave for the second time.
Why have I appealed to you?
You've actually got a nice voice, David.
Thank you, mate. I like how you sing song.
Jeez, I'm known as a king of karaoke.
No, you call yourself
Karaoke, do you know what I mean? That's the difference. World class karaoke.
It's like you get that.
So, talking about world class karaoke, let's talk about Eduardo Morelos. That went didn't loud balloon.
What even? That doesn't even make sense.
It was like the cunt. Do you what? Just delete
So
it.
it's the Old Firm this weekend.
Celtic
I refuse to
Rangers.
call it a Glasgow derby. Get it up a lot in the comments.
I was like, come on, yes, come
Pisses
on.
me off.
Nah, I'm not too. I don't bother with it at all. But this is ultimately it.
I love how you just sat forward now.
This is ultimately it. So let me just kind of sum things up. Rangers have 16 points clear in the league as it stands. Celtic
are 16 points behind the
are
league.
16 points behind you. Celtic go into this game with, I think, the majority of Celtic fans and the one mindset that if we get nothing or anything but a win in this game, the league is over. And I don't think a lot of Rangers fans won't get ahead of themselves. I don't think they'll go and cry as if the league is over quite yet. I think we'll wait till just in case. I think it's been that time that they've waited that they don't want to jinx themselves. But this game determines so much. It determines perhaps the future of the manager. It determines whether or not 10 in a row is going to happen. It determines what's going to happen in January and summer transfer.
It's the biggest Old Firm in history.
In history?
That's a
Would you
great
say
shout.
so?
Well, if you win 10 in a row, it's probably the best feat any Scottish team's ever done. And this, for me, is a turning point, potentially, in that.
But
if Celtic win, they could go and kick on. If Rangers win, it might put too much points in between the two of them for it to
So of course Celtic are in the fortunate position where we do have games in hand and we can close that gap, but without beating Rangers over the next 1, 2, perhaps 3 derby matches.
Well, definitely 3. I mean, I know you've not been great, but I don't think you're going to slip outside the top 6, so I wouldn't worry about that.
I don't say anything about this position. I mean, like, if
Perhaps 3, I don't know.
I said, like, if they don't win the next 1, 2, or perhaps 3 Old Firm games, you know, they
just keep going.
already
1, 2, 3,
laughing
4,
to
5.
laughing to the bank with the
Great
title.
point though, but I tell you, you're right though. But see, if we could easily be in a position where the next one will also be it will overtake it in terms of the stakes, depending on how the gap's looking at that point. But yeah,
But if Rangers win
really
this, like the points could be.
You look at the background going in the game. Let's touch on that very quickly. Rangers are rampant. They've been unbelievably good. They're unbeaten in the league. They were flying in the Europa League. The only mishap is, of course, came in the League Cup. Celtic, on the other hand, went through a spell where if we played this game a month ago, there would be blood on the paths of the Celtic way. That, you know, it would have been an absolute shit show, to say the least. Rangers, on the other hand, if they played this game a month ago, you would be pissing yourself. The lucky thing is, and you still probably are, the lucky thing is Celtic have now turned a wee bit of a corner. We've managed to get 3 wins in a row. Confidence is back on the side of the players, it seems. But does it matter? Are Celtic too far behind in terms of quality compared to this Rangers side at the minute? That is the question. So before I get on to talking about, you know, Celtic's team selection for the weekend, Griffiths and Edward, perhaps what will happen, and then obviously the opposition, David, as the man who sits here as a neutral, your thoughts heading into this gargantuan game?
My immediate thought is I'm delighted it's at Ibrox because the pitch at Celtic Park's a shit show just now.
Jeez, have you seen the Nick in the Park?
Just awful. So I'm delighted it's at Ibrox because a decent a decent surface, which is strange because normally this time of year the Rangers pitch, the pitch at Ibrox tends to kind of have a bit of a stickies, but it did last year anyway.
Last year it did, but that was through a transition and pitch.
So
and
anyway,
stuff like that.
It's on a good surface. That's good. Yeah, it's a mad one. The question you asked there was, are Celtic too far behind in terms of quality? No is the answer to that.
Well, let me touch on that point again. Of course, we're not far behind in quality. As I said at the start of the season, the Rangers player Barbaros getting a Celtic team. I did say that, and I'll admit to the silly things that I've said, just to say the least. Of course, in terms of quality, both teams are equally matched, and some would say if you went round, you know, the kind of experienced journals in the game, they will still say Celtic's squad is better. But in terms of how they're playing at the minute, that's where I'm touching on. In terms of where they're playing at the minute, Rangers squad looks miles better.
Thanks, mate. You just stole my point.
So, well, it was always that what you were going to say.
You came to me and then you just took it away from me.
Well, I wanted to correct myself on a statement that I just
I was
said.
going to do it for you. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the Celtic squad, there's no doubt the quality is there to beat Rangers in a one-off game. It absolutely is. The most telling thing is, everyone always says form goes out the window in these games, and to a certain extent I agree with that, because we've seen it in recent years where Celtic have been, you know, flying every week, winning, and Rangers, who have maybe been sort of, you know, 6, 7, 8, 10 points behind, have looked the much better team on the day. So we know that, you know, Celtic and Rangers are both capable of winning this game. My biggest worry for Celtic, you know, isn't how the league's going in terms of form and points, it's looking at the last 5 Old Firm games, and the difference in quality on the day has seemed huge in favour of Rangers. That is the most worrying thing from a Celtic point of view. What are they going to do differently to stop Rangers? Because Rangers will do the same.
Here's the big difference straight away, and we've already touched on this episode, and obviously I'll let Div come into the discussion after I make this point here.
We'll cut him off as well.
So, no, well, I'm not going to cut anybody off.
You get pelters in the comments for that, Midfield.
I know.
Just trying to finish my point.
Right, well, finish your point off.
If it's gone now, so it's fucked. So
you were saying about how
Rangers will do the same thing as they've done in the last 5 Old Firm games. Not an awful lot will change.
Right,
you
noticed
that again.
It's just because I have a point that I really need to make in terms.
Welcome to the Celtic, the Thunder.
This better be able to their point.
No, right. So in the opinion of myself, and I think a lot of people would agree, in terms of Rangers have been so much better than Celtic.
You got to say Celtic have been bad?
No, Celtic have been rotten against Rangers. Absolutely rotten. Apart from the last time we played well against you was the game that you went in expecting to win.
They were nice at when I played my
first Old Firm in the season last year.
Yeah, that was the last time Celtic played good. So, right, the difference between Celtic and Rangers over the past few Old Firm games has been, for me, the middle of the park where it has been. Rangers have walked all over it. Like, walked all over is an understatement. You've shat all over us. You know that, to be quite honest. Jack, Arfield, Davis, Aribo, Kamara, all these players who can play in the middle of the park, Hadji, all these players have made a fool of Celtic. Yep. So the big difference now
Hadji's not played in an Old Firm actually. So.
Is he not actually? No, well, okay. Right, well. Oh, that's right, because we have the game got postponed. Yeah. So, but the big difference now is this is a completely different midfield that could be heading into this game. If you're looking at Sorrell, Turnbull, McGregor, this free, is it a free that can play better against this Rangers team? I don't want to get ahead of myself and say, that's going to change it completely. But for me, from the signs that we've seen between Turnbull and Sorrell and the kind of positives they bring to the game are far more suited for this match against Rangers than what we've seen with Scott Brown, who simply can't keep up.
This is why I asked earlier on, is Sorrell got legs?
Aye.
Because I think Rangers have dominated in the midfield in the last 5 or 6 Old Firms, and they do that through the legs for the most part. Stephen Davis has got that bit of quality on the ball, and even Ryan Jack.
Aye.
My only concern going into the Old Firm, to be quite honest, is could they potentially get overrun in the middle of the park?
Aye.
I'm quite competent in Glenn Kamara and Stephen Davis being able to handle it.
As you would be.
And I'm competent in Joe Aribo's ability. But when it comes to legs, he's going to need to put in a massive performance if he starts in the midfield free. Because Rangers, I think he'll be a big miss, but it's whether Aribo can step up to the mark and he can do a job that he does. And he might bring out something different to the game, impacts the game even better than what Scott Arfield can do. Because his ability is brilliant. Getting into in the first 5 games or so, I think Aribo was one of the top men for Rangers. He goes out through injury. Nobody was probably expecting Scott Arfield to come in and do how well he's been doing, and it's only really new that Aribo's coming back into the team and he's doing well. So I think the midfield battle is going to be really interesting. I think it'll be interesting in the shape because you're talking about a diamond, so that would mean it's a 4 against 3 potentially with an overload in the midfield. But yeah, that's my only concern really getting into it.
You look at,
but I'm still quite confident in the midfield.
You look at Scott Brown in these Old Firm games. For me, he's became far too caught up in the mindset of, let me just battle Morelos, let me battle Arfield. You know, these players who, you know, are very passionate, and Scott Brown himself matches that passes, came so caught up in that. Sorrell goes into this game playing for the first time. If Sorrell goes out and does what Sorrell
you're assuming Sorrell's going to play?
No, that was going to be my next point. I was going to say we could be having this whole conversation and Lennon can go there.
I think he's going to play.
Let's talk for it. Like before yesterday, I would have said Brown will start easily, but the performance that Sorrell put in yesterday made me think, how can Neil Lennon sit here and justify putting Brown back on the park for this game when it's the biggest game of the season?
I think Sorrell's got to start 100%.
He's got to.
For all that Scott Brown's done in his career at Celtic.
No time for sentiment.
Sorrell's came in.
It wasn't a cup final though.
In the first 4, it was, to be fair, it was.
But
this is a whole different kettle of fish. He came in for one game. I think he played good for the first 45 and maybe overran the second half. Am I right in saying that?
I would say first half he was
good, and then in the second. So I think Sorrell will start. I think it's a no-brainer to be quite fair.
Because the point that you're making there, you've got to look at it from this point of view.
Could they go
from the manager?
Could they change the shape again? I don't know.
But you look at it from the point of view of the manager, right? You say of course they're against Hearts and that was such a big game. The difference, I think, being now that you look at one side who is, in Neil Lennon's point of view, maybe looking at it as one's a championship side, one is Rangers, and Rangers are flying.
It's a bit harsh on Hearts.
It's not. I know. I'm not. I'm not wanting, because I don't want to take away anything from Hearts and the fact that they are still a Premiership squad. That squad is probably better than half of the teams in the
It's a
league.
top 6 squad.
Yeah.
For me.
But like the way that he's got to look at it and knowing now is this is a completely different kettle of fish. This is Rangers are miles beyond Celtic in terms of how they're playing at the minute. So why would they sacrifice the way that we have been playing well to go back to a system which seen us win 2 in 12 games?
So just to use your own point against you, Sorrow's done really well against a lot of lesser teams when Celtic have had all the ball.
Fantastic against Lille.
Still, but Lille at home in a dead rubber is a completely different kettle of fish to going to Ibrox. It
is, of course. So this is the biggest game for him.
I watched Celtic last night. Their midfield has improved tenfold, by the way, in the games that I've seen. I didn't watch them last night though, and still feel confident that they'll be able to cope with Rangers midfield. The fact that Arfield's missing, I think, helps Celtic a little bit, because I think Aribo
is a different style of player.
Exactly. Where Arfield's a lot more physical. He'll just run and run and run. Aribo's a bit more technical, likes to get in the ball.
His feet is fantastic.
So
fantastic feet.
I think if you play Aribo, it's a much more attacking decision for me, especially if you've got Roof, Kent and Morelos ahead. You've got 4 natural attackers plus your fullbacks who are all just attack basically. So that might give Celtic a bit of hope, but I haven't seen enough yet that makes me think they're going to cope with it. I think, listen, they could absolutely surprise us in the shape. If they go the narrow diamond, will help them in the midfield battle. That's what I think. That I know we said the midfield is the most popular area, but if Celtic go narrow in the middle, the issue comes with how does
that's exactly what I was going to say. If Celtic go with the diamond in the middle and they try and make it physical and stuff and go through the middle,
game this.
So here's the
Rangers will go out wide to Tav and to Barisic, who've actually probably been starved in the last 3 or 4 games. A lot of the stuff has been through the middle, and I think that's why the managers brought guys in like Hadji, and Hadji's had more success in that sort of style, because a lot's more's going through the middle and we intricacies and we small spaces, we passes through and stuff like that. So if Celtic try and make it go through the middle, Rangers could go up the wings. And how do you stop that? Because that'll be an overload for Rangers as well, won't it? If they go with a 4, Rangers will have a 2-on-1 on your left back and your right back.
So the point I want to make was coming on to set pieces, crossing. For me, this is a game that, of course, I want to be slightly optimistic in my views and say that, of course, Celtic can challenge and Celtic can do this. This is a game where if you give Tavernier the ball, whether it be a dead ball scenario or you let him get down that wing in the way that you're talking about there, Rangers could easily score 3, 4, 5 goals with how good.
My God.
That, mate, honestly, I've been saying
I get that.
it for the last month. The way that we have been defending set pieces against the likes of Ross County, St Johnstone, all these lesser teams, you give the ball to a player of the quality of Tavernier, allow him to swing these balls in, whether it's Goldson who meets it, Morelos who meets it, anybody else, and especially now with Julian looking like it could be ruled out the fixture, it could be an absolute disaster for Celtic. Defensively, we have definitely improved the last 3 games. Of course, 3 clean sheets in the bounce now, nice to see, I'm happy with that, but it's just a dangerous scenario to get yourself in.
Would that be right in saying that Celtic will change to man to man?
Well, because
yesterday when I watched the highlights of the Dundee United game, it looked like they were man to man,
certainly through the
which
middle.
Could impact it, because obviously don't know what they were doing in the first Old Firm, but it was zonal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Goldson just wanders in by himself, puts it in the back of the net.
What I like is
a lot of top teams do it.
A lot of top teams know, but I love what Liverpool do is they combine the two. So they'll put like a midget on a big guy as he's running in to block the run, and then leave like Van Dijk and Matip say free to attack the ball. So that's cool. But the man to man I think has to happen, because Goldson wasn't getting picked up, and at least with man to man you know who's responsible. So
exactly.
But just because I put the point out there about the fullbacks and how that could maybe hinder Celtic. To flip that in a way that the tactical thing is fascinating, that could help Celtic, is they play 2 up top, so you've got Griffin and Edwards pushing Rangers centre halves back. Does that then mean the fullbacks need to tuck in and help?
I think.
Does that mean Davis needs to drop back and help? Kamara? Because they're not going to leave them 2 for 2. So it's fascinating, this tactical battle, how it'll work. So it's an option.
I think you're spot on there, mate, to be fair. Rangers are quite comfortable, and you'll see it a lot when you watch Rangers against other teams, to just let it become like a 1-on-1. You've seen it against Hibs. The ball got hit up to Boyle numerous times, Nisbet numerous times, and he was 1-on-1 with one of your centre halves. I don't think they'll do that with Griffiths and Edwards, so I think somebody will drop in, or I don't know, one of the fullbacks will maybe stay deep. So it's fascinating, mate, to see how it happens. First 15 minutes I think will be telling.
Right, so here's the big question to you that I think so as well. I think the opening, you're looking at it, even the opening half hour of that game for me could, make or break what happens within the game.
See, similar as Celtic need to keep the ball for a prolonged period of time in the game because they haven't done that in Old Firm for ages.
Here's the big question I want to ask you, Div. So a lot of people, and this isn't before anybody tries to say this is my point of view. I'm going for the general kind of the kind of look at from the kind of big picture sort of thing, right? A lot of people are saying that over the last few years, Rangers haven't been the best at dealing with pressure, and of course we may have seen a little snippet of that with the situation in the League Cup. You know, they were favourites to win the Cup and St Mirren go and end up knocking them out. But the question is to you, with Celtic being in the position now that this game is basically the be all end all, the pressure is still firmly on Celtic. You know, we need to win, the pressure's massively on them. Is there a danger, and how do you combat that danger of Rangers going into this game perhaps maybe a little bit not overconfident but a bit too, I don't know how quite to word it, you know what I'm getting to here, you know, they're going into the game with such a
I think they would be
favourites.
I think they would be absolutely stupid to go into the game and underestimate Celtic. And I think every single thing that the manager said this season and what you're seeing for the players has indicated that they won't do that. So I'm confident they'll go into the game, they'll give Celtic respect. And they might flip it, you know, they might try and turn, everybody's saying Rangers are the favourites, might just try and turn that Celtic to a certain respect, if you know what I mean. Try and not let the pressure of the occasion of the game and the importance get to them. I think in the first Old Firm, first 15 minutes, Rangers look brilliant. They get the goal, and then maybe in another Old Firm they maybe keep going at them, but they were quite comfortable. They just sat, they let Duffy pass it side to side. They let Celtic have the ball, and you're going in at half time at 1-0 thinking to yourself, Rangers should have went for them there, and they should have maybe get two, maybe get 3 goals. Then they go. It just looks really measured for this team this season. It looks comfortable. They might adapt that. They might do that in the Old Firm, or they might just go for the jugular. They might just go Joe 90. I don't know. Obviously, from a fan's point of view, I want Rangers to go out there and batter Celtic. I want them to, but the win's the most important thing. Do you know what I mean? And if to touch on your pressure point, if Celtic go to Ibrox and they win, that'll be a big question on the bottle, because they're still comfortable. You know, if Celtic win all their games in hand, they'll still be 4 points clear. I believe.
They've had a lot of tests, but this could ultimately be Gerrard's biggest test yet, as to where you're saying the bottle is at.
I don't think it's his biggest test, but I think it's his biggest game.
I was actually going to make a point there, and I can't mind what. It's just
I'll take over.
On you go.
Just you were talking about pressure there for Rangers. Rangers, I take your point about how they've in previous times they've kind of crumbled under pressure, but for me it's not been the pressure of big games that they've crumbled under. It's the pressure of consistently winning week in and week out when you're expected to win. So it's games like we saw it last season. Drop points to Kelly, drop points to Hamilton, Hearts.
Do you not think
games we're always better in the bigger?
I think they've got a big game mentality. So they've got that big game mentality. I think this game is a great metaphor for the story of the season so far. Was everyone going into this game is talking about what will Celtic do? What will Celtic do? How can they stop Rangers doing what they've done in Old Firm games? Whereas for Rangers, nobody's talking about them. Nobody cares about Gerrard's interviews just now, which is just perfect. And it's been perfect for them so far this season. And you're right, the pressure is all on Celtic yet again, which makes it easy for Rangers to go out, implement their game plan. You know, they've got such trust in that system, especially in this game. They know exactly how to beat Celtic.
So the point I was going to make, and it touches nicely on what you're saying. For the last week, I've been saying this, and I don't have a nice feel of the old Clint Hill game about this. You know, like we went into that game. Of course, we were off the back.
Being flipped.
Because we went into that game, obviously, we battled just 5-1 in the September, and then. It was the following season. It was the following season, I'm sure. But we battled us anyway, and we were going into the game, and everybody was talking about how the Rangers do this, how the Rangers do that, and Celtic were firm favourites to win. It was a Parkhead as well, of course. We're up 1-0 quite early on in the game. You're thinking, here they go, same old story again. Doing nothing for the next kind of 60 minutes or something, and then Van Clint Hill steps up in the 90th minute, basically.
My favourite one's like
Shane Duffy.
My favourite part about that game is the lassie behind the goals.
That's right.
She's just giving them it stinking. I love that.
But like, there's that sort of feel about it, and of course, a draw does nothing for Celtic, nothing at all. I think even with a draw, I would think the league's over. But
how do you think that Celtic beat Rangers? Is it out wide, balls out of the box, or is it through the middle?
No, it's through the middle. It's absolutely through the middle. Look, the key for me is simple in this game. The big difference for me is simple in this game, and it could genuinely be David Turnbull. I think David Turnbull, his reading of the game, his vision, everything is spot on. Like yesterday, there was a wee snippet of the game, and I know we're playing Dundee United, who are quite a stretch off Rangers. There was one moment in the game, and he's got 2 men in front of him. He's got the ball at his feet. You might have seen it in the highlights. I'm sure. It just flicks it air, and it's nobody does that. You know, if Griffiths picks a corner, that's a goal. He hits it right at the keeper, then Edouard misses the rebound as well. that shouldn't be a goal. But moments like that are the difference between what we have seen over the last. Turnbull has changed so much.
So will it take a big time moment, or will Celtic dominate the match?
I don't see any team in particular dominating this game. I think this is going to be a far more back and forth encounter than what we've seen before. I think that especially with Celtic setting up with a diamond, I think that we're going to see a lot of. I think you're going to see Rangers perhaps bombing the wings as we've spoke about, try and do something Celtic go right up through them, try and get Griffiths Edouard involved, try and get them linked up, and we have a. I'm not going to say it's going to be back and forth for 90 minutes of the game, like bang, 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 bang. But I think we're going to see a game.
A lot more of a normal Old Firm game.
Yeah. I don't think it's.
I think it's simple for Celtic. They need to attack. Celtic need to attack.
But then, if they attack, do we leave ourselves prone to these defensive mishaps?
You're going to be prone to defensive mishaps no matter what you do in this game. Celtic have tried in so many Old Firm games recently to hit Rangers in the counter, and they can't do it.
I don't want to see. This is the thing. Celtic's problem in the last Old Firm was what you brought up a moment ago with Duffy. Give the ball to Duffy, pass it. We'll do this, that. Of course. So in terms of that, yes, attack seems like a better option. But at the same time, how prone does it leave our sort of back line to getting too lackadaisical with it? And then Rangers have that midfield three.
That's why Julian's a big miss, because if you're going to play on the front foot, you can have Julian on a halfway line and he's got the pace to track.
So apparently,
what's
been said, there's swelling round the knee and he's getting.
That's never a good start
today. To see if he can
maybe soft tissue damage or something.
After the game, Lennon seemed pretty confident that he could
still an injection, he might get through. But that's the thing. If you play Julian on the halfway line, he's got the pace to cover. The best way, you're talking about how do you stop Celtic Rangers fullbacks, the best way to stop them, I think the only way you can do it is by pinning them back the way. It's the only way you can do it, and that's why I think playing two up top will help Celtic. If Celtic try and sit back and play in the counter, they'll get beat, because Rangers are so good at pinning Celtic in that they just won't get out. You see how many times you'll see Celtic play a ball up maybe to someone in the channel and Goldson will win a header and Rangers are straight back on you. They need to go for an attack and pin Rangers back, because Rangers have had it too easy in Old Firm games in terms of, you said the last one 2-0, they just I'll do
it's comfortable.
There's just they need to make it difficult for them, and that starts what you said in the opening 5-10 minutes is crucial, because they've got to make their intentions clear in terms of going forward. And Turnbull, I think the point you were making is he's great at taking the ball under pressure, and in an Old Firm game you don't have time on the ball. So somebody who's comfortable and got that bit of quality, you're right, could be the difference, but they need to go for it.
I'm right. I'm joking, right?
I actually disagree. I think it's down the wings that you need to try. As you said,
not at all.
But I think that's how you'll penetrate your defence.
Because
I think we'll be too solid to go through the middle. Might come back to bite me in the arse, but pretty much every goal Rangers have conceded this season is for crosses into the back post and stuff like that. It's no through the middle.
Doing the wings, the thing is, right, so on the left hand side,
you might not have the quality, but that's just what I mean. I think that's the system that's best to
confident, but the thing is with Frimpong, right, Frimpong has started coming out in this bit of his game that he likes to take the ball down to the byline. I'm a big fan of it. I don't think that Barisic is going to allow him to get to the byline as easily as some other players do. And then when he doesn't get to the byline, his final product is absolutely gash. So I don't see the wings being. I'm not saying exclude them from play altogether. When we can use that to our advantage, do it. But I think if we went solely for goals through that sort of play, I don't think they're going to come as easy. And I think that's been the issue with Celtic in the last couple of Old Firm games. We've relied heavily on getting balls in the box, and Greg Taylor, well, he didn't, obviously it was Laxalt that played his first ever game, the last one, but you look at players like Taylor and Laxalt and Frimpong and maybe Abdel Ahmed, their crosses haven't been connected.
The end product from Celtic's fullbacks is just simply not good enough, and you need to play this game. You need to play to your strengths, and their strengths are getting it to Turnbull's feet, Christie's feet, Edwards' feet, Griffiths' feet, get the ball moving quickly, and just do to Rangers what Rangers have done to them, and that's I think the best way they're gonna.
I just think that style plays into us.
I think more so, but I think that.
It might be the best option for Celtic. I just think that maybe plays into your hands.
If Rangers 3 is Davis, Kamara, and Aribo, I've always raved about how Rangers 3, and especially in Europe, they're just machines in terms of the running they do.
Yeah.
That is not as strong physically in midfield as it could be if Arfield was in there for me. Aribo's still physically a good player, but as he said, Davis is the one with the quality. Davis isn't going to cover all that ground. Kamara will, no doubt. We know how good he can be. But having two players like Aribo and Davis who are more reliant on getting the ball to feet and technically might make it a little bit easier for Celtic through the middle than it would be normally. But as we said earlier, it's absolutely fascinating how this is going to work.
I think Aribo's going to be just a key part of this game, man.
I think so.
Potentially.
I think he needs to have the best performance in his Rangers career.
And I suppose that's the same thing on both sides. You're saying that about Aribo, and I'm saying the same thing about
so many match winners.
Not just defensively for Aribo, but offensively. If he can impact himself in this game offensively.
Right, two very quick, because we're 15 minutes in, and also we've got the rest of the Premiership to try and fly through very quickly. But I'm going to ask two questions. To wrap it up, we'll try and keep it short and sweet. Keep your explanations brisk, and we'll go. I'll start with you, David. First off, the key man on the park this weekend, the one who's going to be the man, and also your prediction, Fleek.
I always pick a midfielder.
Aye.
So I'm going to say Stephen Davis.
Stephen Davis.
Aye.
Player.
I just always think through the midfield.
Player.
I mean, you could look at guys in an attacking point of view like Ryan Kent, maybe Kemar Roofe, who are in absolutely class form. But I just think the guy that controls the game is usually my top man, the guy I like to hang with. Predictions 3-1 Rangers.
3-1. Nice. Okay. Well, no nice at
Thanks.
all. No nice
There
at
we
all. David, yourself, man who's going to change the game.
Barcat,
Aye, we could change the game.
Back Barkas, right? Back him.
keep the faith.
But you know, tweeting he was absolutely horrendous yesterday for the McNulty chance.
Well, I wasn't tweeting. I seen it in the group chat.
Oh, how would that? You said it? Did it? Alright.
Nah, but I've been tweeting back Barkas. I've been part of the hashtag.
Still-
Oh, so you're a two-faced person then?
6 months in, he's still not made a save. I don't know.
Mate, he caught it quite early on yesterday, you know.
I don't know. I mean, there's so many guys in the pitch who can match winners. Key player, yeah, I like the Davis shout. Connor Goldson. And not for the reasons you might think. I think people might think I mean that in a goal scoring sense, but you were saying earlier on about how Rangers are comfortable leaving players 1-to-1, and I think in terms of quick transitions, long balls, he'll win them night and day. He's got that pace to recover his speed.
Nice.
Score prediction 2-2.
Okay, player for me that I'm going to say could
Firmly
be
on the fence.
Aye.
I genuinely don't have a clue though.
one man that we've not even touched on, we didn't have enough in-depth conversation about, and I'm going to go quite bold with
Ryan
him.
Kent.
No, he's gone Sorrow.
We didn't talk
I'm
about
not going
Kent.
Sorrow because there's no guarantee that Sorrow will play. Key man for me tomorrow. No more. Lee Griffiths.
Oh Jesus Christ.
Lee Griffiths, he's burnt a lot of weight. He's looking a lot fit.
He's looking a lot. He is looking a lot bit sharper.
He's looking a lot sharper, a lot fitter.
He's still got levels to go,
and
hasn't
he's
he?
scored.
does.
He's
Of course he
scored.
does.
But he's still definitely. But this game for him, and what the importance that
Watch
basically.
Lennon shit it and play one up
Well,
top.
I know. Put it this way, right? Neil Lennon and the squad have to understand that this is win and win only.
Can I change my key man?
Go on.
Neil Lennon.
I mean, it's not even funny. But right, anyway, let me finish my point. Right, so Griffiths,
Michael Beale.
Set pieces.
Griffiths for me steps up, scores goals if we need him to in these big occasions. So I think we can rely on him tomorrow. And
His old firm record's rubbish, is it not?
And his link up, well, he's not played in that many for quite a bit. Obviously,
I think he scored 2. He scored one at Ibrox and one
and
in
compared to the games he's played, but look, listen, he's looking fitter. He's on form. Him and Edouard are linking up well. I think he could have an impact in the game tomorrow. So I'm going to go with Griffiths. And the score prediction, I'm going to be an optimistic fan. For as much as I do believe that this could be an absolute stinking result, I can't sit and no be optimistic. I'm going to just keep it simple though. 1-0 to Celtic.
Oh, a clean sheet.
1-0.
Oof.
A stinker of a game.
Oh, my every bit of logic in my body's telling me Rangers will win it, but I've had I said it to you.
I
just had a feeling. I said a month ago that the league was done, and I'm not changing my mind on that. I still think Rangers will win the league title, but if Celtic win the game, it is going to be tasty.
Right, that's the Old Firm conversation complete. Div, I hope you have a shite Saturday.
Cheers.
Right, so
happy
You're
New
a
Year
nice
to you
human.
too.
Happy New Year to you too. Right, so we'll quickly fly over the Premiership games, and all I'm going to do is ask for you, because we've got questions to fly through. So all I'm going to do is ask for
Rest in peace, the Championship in League 1 and League 2.
Nah, no, rest of it. So one episode, mate. One episode. Do you want me to fly through them?
No, just you do what you want, mate. You're
Fly
in charge.
through them.
He's the boss.
I'm leaving the boss. He's the boss. He's the one that moves me up.
I thought he was a boss.
Alright.
How you doing, mate?
How you doing, Terry?
Producer.
Terry.
A big Terry.
Monroe.
The chairman.
Terry Monroe. Right, so Ross County St Johnstone.
How much of a heartbreaking
But
moment?
within your predictions.
How much of a heartbreaking moment was that when you found out that the hashtag United chairman was actually Spencer? Remember, like he used to within the first
There was
hashtag
no
United, it was
chairman.
like there was no chairman. It was him all along. Sorry, on you go. It's like Vince McMahon. It was me all along. Damn it.
I love how you got that reference though.
Ross County St Johnstone.
Ross County 2, St Johnstone 1.
Right.
Ross County 2, St Johnstone 0.
I'm going to go Ross County 1, St Johnstone 0. Hibs and Livy. Now I'll start with you this time.
Oh, that's
a tasty game. Martindale's
game.
got
I
it
think
playing
Hibs
well.
are hot and cold, aren't they? So this is potentially the game they show up.
Yep.
But Livy have been brilliant this last 5 or 6 games under Martindale. So
Should get manager of the month for December.
I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw.
Ooh, aye.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. 2 all draw. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, 2 each.
Look at you.
He likes a 2-2 draws,
I like
doesn't
a
he?
2 each. Aye.
I noticed that.
Do you like a 2
You
each?
do like a 2 each.
Yeah.
Hibs and Livy, I'm going to go for 2-1 to the Hibs. Hamilton Motherwell.
Wow, it's a derby.
It's a derby.
It's a derby.
It's Motherwell's. I mean, I'm telling you, Hamilton won, Motherwell nil.
That's exactly what I was going to do.
You got to do that as well.
Camera.
Hamilton always seem to.
Just keep going, Dan. Just keep going.
Right.
It's fine.
Hamilton always seem to get a result against them, don't they?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go 1-0 Hamilton.
Yeah, so we're all going 1-0
We're
Hamilton.
going 1-0 Hamilton, mate. We're not feeling it, man.
Motherwell
That's
battered
always
them
good.
now.
Do you know what I love? Like, see when like my pals will watch on it, the ones that like their coupons, like my pal Jai who watch on and goes, right, all yous have got me backing Hamilton now, I'm going to fucking kill you. You know,
We did that recently, did we not? Who did we back Hamilton against to get beat?
We backed somebody.
I think it was Hamilton against Aberdeen, maybe? Or something like that.
Aberdeen, Dundee United. Nice there.
That's a good game
That's
as
a good
well,
game.
man.
It's a good
The
game.
new firm.
And
Why they were calling it that for
Aye,
ages?
mate.
Dreadful
I'm going to
pattern.
go for the 1-0 Dundee United.
Is that a
win.
Pittodrie?
Oh,
It's a Pittodrie.
that'd be tasty.
1-0 Dundee United win.
2-1 to the Dandy Dons. 2-1 at Dons for me, yeah.
I feel like I've been backing Aberdeen all the time, and the same with Dundee United, and always let me down. But I'm going to side with Aberdeen. I think we'll get the job done. 2-0.
What a
Tell
weekend.
you, throw in an Urban Outfitters jump on, you feel edgy. That's why I'm going for a wee Dundee United. And
Been in the
finally-
coffee shop soon,
I
wouldn't
know,
you?
I would do the stair.
That vegan cafe.
The vegan cafe. Oh yes.
Well, I would like a coffee with no milk.
There'll be enough conversation in all
No
these
coffee.
podcasts. With
No
you
water.
gauge where we live. We'll be knackered.
Just a couple do.
Aye.
Kelly and St Mirren, the final game of the Premiership this weekend.
Oh,
I'm
dearie
going
1-0.
me.
1-0, nice. I'm going to go for a 1-0 St Mirren win. I'm liking their wins.
Nah, listen,
this weekend.
Viva Alex Dyer, 2-0 Kelly.
That'd be good for the
Nice.
curtains, wouldn't it? Or the away wins.
Mate, that
But
would
for
be
the old firm.
fantastic fun.
Okay, behave yourself.
Settle.
But do not touch the old firm.
3 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock.
Right, you know what? Because you know what, we've got time. I may as well fly through it. We'll go for the same thing. No explanation, just prediction. Scottish Championship this weekend. David Buick kick us off with the game of the Dunfermline Raith Rovers.
Fife Derby East End. I'm gonna be there. Can't wait. Buzzing. Dunfermline Athletic 2, Raith Rovers 1.
2 each.
Fucking
Two each.
DA. Yes, let's have
I
it.
just think Dunfermline are turning into the draw merchants.
Do not lose merchants.
3-0 Dunfermline.
That's not happening. That's 100%.
What's just
not
happening?
See.
If that happens, I'll be a
That'd be
happy boy.
huge. That'd be
Huge,
huge.
mate.
Huge.
Huge.
Alloa and Greenock Morton.
Wow.
I'm going
Tasty.
to start us off and I'm going to go for a 1-all draw.
2-0 to Morton.
I agree. 2-0 Morton.
Okay. Queen of the South and Ayr. I'm going to go 1-0 to
Yes, they know.
Ayr.
I'm gonna go 4-0 to Ayr.
4? Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm going to go 2-1 to Ayr.
2-1 Ayr. Arbroath and Inverness.
2-1 Inverness.
1 each.
1 each. I'm going to go 3-1 Inverness.
Okay.
And finally, Dundee against Hearts. A very
Woo!
tasty game considering Dundee have come on to a bit of a game. James McPake's been proving
Osmond's so a goal machine. He's turned into a prime Ronaldo. I don't know what's happening there.
So I'm going to go for a 1-0 draw.
And James McPake has not proved me a
1-0 draw.
daft at all.
1-0 draw. What?
Fuck, be shite.
Yeah, it's better. He's pulling it back. You mean you said he was hopeless, and look,
He is
they're
hopeless.
only 3 points behind your mob.
Yeah, I know, but their budget will be much bigger now, as they're
That's
expected to be
true,
right up top.
but
Charles
still,
Nowhere near good enough.
He's still,
Yeah, I'm
going
going to
to
say Hearts. Is it Tynecastle or the Dens? Is it?
Dens.
Hearts
1-0.
2. Well, Dundee 2, Hearts 2. I like a 2 each.
Oh, he does, doesn't he?
doesn't he?
I'm going for Hearts 4, Dundee 2.
Oof, that's
Charlie, I don't
what
want
a
a double.
fail that would be, yeah.
A lot of goals, aye.
And League 1 and League 2.
Anything tasty down there?
We'll go with Partick and Clyde.
Oh well, I mean there's a
Yeah,
wee
actually.
rivalry there.
Here, tell you what.
Run through them, Come on, let's go.
Okay, right. Partick Thistle and Clyde. East Fife and Falkirk.
Oh, we don't have predictions though.
Oh, right, sorry. Partick
Jeez,
Thistle. I thought you said
we can read the
Wait,
fixtures
I remember
ourselves,
them,
like, Thistle 2, Clyde 3.
Go.
Oh my god.
Quick fire.
2-1 to Thistle.
1-0 Thistle. East Fife Falkirk.
Falkirk 2, East 5 0.
3-1 Falkirk.
1-0 Falkirk. Montrose Forfar.
Wow.
4-1 Montrose 3.
2 each.
That's a
2-0 Montrose, and finally Cove against Peterhead.
Cove 3, Peterhead 0.
1-0 Peterhead.
Oh,
Yeah.
Cove 4, Peterhead 1.
right, League 2.
Only
Quickly.
fancy
League
Peterhead.
2 very quickly.
Something 5, Brecon 0.
Something Brown was indeed something. Brecon
be.
against Elgin City.
Oh, Elgin City 5, Brecon 0.
3-0
3-0.
Brecon, man.
3-0.
3-0. I'm going to go 2-0 to Elgin.
2-0, man. That's a good result for Brecon.
Nice pair of cities in that.
Did they not get battered? Did they not get battered off a Lowland team? I didn't hear that.
Nice pair of cities in that fixture.
Yeah, misogynist. Albion Rovers against Queen's Park.
Oh, wow.
Queen's Park 3, Albion 0.
3-1 Queen's Park.
Stranraer against I haven't even gave mine. Queen's Park.
There's so many stinking teams in the League 2, eh?
Queen's Park.
Didn't get some other
Queen's
teams in
Park 2, Albion
Kelly.
1. Stranraer Annan.
Oh,
Stranraer 2, Annan 0.
2-1
Two each.
to Annan.
Oh.
One each. And final. Oh no, it's 2 games. Sorry, we have to go. Cowdenbeath, Edinburgh City. The Blue.
Edinburgh City 2, Cowdenbeath 0.
Do you know? Did you see that Kieran?
2-0 Cowdenbeath.
Kieran never knew their nickname was the Blue Brazil.
Neither did you, I told you that, so don't give me a
I
piss.
did know they were the
We
Blue
will go
Brazil.
through in a
That's a quiz
podcast. You
question
knew that
for
because I told you.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, okay, I thought I knew.
Nonsense.
I thought
Anyway, quickly, you said you want to run through them.
1-0 Edinburgh.
So, one of the teams.
So one of them.
Right.
And Steny versus Stirling Albion.
Jesus Christ. Steny 3, Stirling Albion 7.
We've lost our credibility.
1-0 Steny.
Credibility was gone about 3 months ago.
Stirling Albion 9, Stennismuir 6.
Right, questions on Twitter. Callum Craig, will John Hughes keep Ross County up? One word answers. Yes.
Yes.
Maybe. Come on, yes. Go.
Couldn't just do one word, could he?
I was one word, maybe it's no 2 words.
Aidan Drennan says Daddy Div.
Oh, yeah. No yet.
Not quite, not quite.
Just check your phone now, just make sure. What thumbs it up?
Jamie Graham says next manager to face the sack. We'll leave that to keep that to the Premiership. Next Premiership manager to face the sack.
Oh my.
There's not many standouts just now, is there?
Stephen Robinson.
Oh, great shout. I'm going to agree with you.
I don't think he'll get sacked.
But I think he's the closest to anyone just now.
I know.
I think
Alex
Dyer was his closest, to be honest with you, but I'll go Dyer.
Yeah, I'm going with Stephen Robinson as well. Question for Ryan. Champions League level Barkas or Alan McGregor?
Mate, did you see?
One word answers we're doing.
John
these
McLaughlin.
questions. John McLaughlin.
Conor Hazard.
Okay.
He get dropped, didn't he?
Yeah,
What's that all about?
Well, Lennon says it's down to the fact that Barkas.
Have you ever seen more of a bizarre management of a player than the way they've handled Barkas? It's bizarre. Luke Mizoyer asks, if Turnbull keeps up his current form, could he make it to the Scotland squad for the Euros? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice. Baldy Barrett says if Celtic play the Diamond on Saturday, will Rangers scalp them? We've kind of covered that. We're too naive to say, or I'm too scared to say Rangers will scalp them because I don't think they will. But Dev will say.
Oh, breaking news! Stephen Robinson has resigned as manager of Motherwell.
Never get sacked. No, to be fair.
Fair play to the shout though. Wow.
Wow.
Wowee.
Resigns a bit different for a sacking though.
Mate,
I've took him as far as I could. He's saying.
Jumped before he
You
was.
know what I mean?
Jumped before he was pushed.
I've sold Turnbull for
Wowee.
$3.5 million and
Wow.
I'm leaving getting
What a
any
job!
budget.
I tell you what, that's a good point though. I mean, he's done so well for them. He's now leaving with his
Dignity.
before his reputation takes a hit.
Yes.
Fair play. I mean, Motherwell will be the board will be gutted.
Here you go. Motherwell will come down.
Oh.
Who do they place him with? What's
Yogi.
Big
John Hughes would have been a good shout.
What's Big Dingus up to?
Terry
Mark
Butcher.
McGee, but Mark McGee. Get him back.
Owen Coyle.
Barry Ferguson.
Oh, he always.
Shelley Kerr.
Shelley
Shelley Kerr.
There's a shout.
Shelley. I've been championing Shelley Kerr, by the way.
Is that just because she's on Rangers TV?
Do you want to know
No,
an
'cause she's
interesting?
class.
Do you want to know an interesting fact?
No,
So and Stephen Robinson's run of form that he was on with Motherwell as he's been sacked is better than Lennon's run of form when he was at the worst peak with Celtic.
Oofed.
He's not been sacked though. You just said that.
Aye.
Well, sorry, he's resigned.
Wow, that's fair play to him. What a job he's done for Motherwell. That's going to be a tough man to replace.
Yep.
Wow. Where does it go, man?
I'm delighted we've had that on the show rather than as we've gone off because we've done that so many times.
It's mental how we're talking about at the start of the season Robinson going and getting the Northern Ireland job and now he's resigning.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jackie will be
For
regretting
the
not
new year.
taking that now.
I don't think he got offered it, did he?
No, but I think nobody knows, but I
Nah.
think he might have taken. He might have got it.
Aye.
Who did get
If
it?
he made it, I think if he probably
Who did get it?
was the guy. Oh, what's his name?
Dunno. Sam
What's his
Allardyce.
name?
probably.
No, what's his name? I can't remember. But no, it's not a shocker because as I literally said 5 seconds prior, I expected him next to be gone.
I've got right. Quickly, we'll rattle through a couple of questions. 'Cause I've got one more tiny wee segment I want to do before the end. What player? Right, it's a really good question. Rangers Bants at Rangers Banter 11, 17. Sorry, not 11. Did him a disservice there. He's got 6 more numbers than I said he did. What player do you think will go on to play at the highest level who currently plays for either Rangers or Celtic? I think that's a great question.
Wow.
Ian Barraclough. That's the Northern Ireland manager.
Is it? He was ex-Motherwell too, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Obviously he isn't playing for Celtic and
wow.
Rangers. It's a great question.
Sorry, what was the question?
So the question is, out of players from Celtic and Rangers just now, who do you think will play at the highest level? For me, there's 3 that come to mind. 1 from Celtic, 2 from Rangers. So Edward immediately comes to
Only one
mind.
from Celtic.
Yeah.
Edward, I would say 2 from Celtic right now.
No, well, we're only picking one.
Oh, we only picked one.
Aye, so which player who plays for either old firm will go on to play at the highest level? So Edward, Kamara and Barisic come to mind from
Mate, I was thinking Kamara and Barisic, but
The
if
three
I
that
have to
come-
pick one, I'll go with the safer bet, go with Barisic, because left back, easier to get
So
in
three players come to mind for me, and it's Edward, Ayer, and
That's a decent shout.
Kamara. They're the three that come to my mind.
Celtic, my choice for Edward's got to be.
It's got to be
So
Edward.
I still think, regardless of what his form, he could go to a really good team and smash it. I'm going to go with Glenn Kamara. I've said it to you for
Aye.
ages. I think if Liverpool lose Gini Wijnaldum, get Glenn Kamara.
Ooh, his contract's
Big
up at
jump,
the end of the
right enough.
season.
Big jump, right enough.
Big jump,
Big
but
jump.
you know he
Maybe
does
that's why
it
Stevie G's been championing him for a new contract.
He's so similar to Wijnaldum, I think, in terms of the way he plays.
But Edward for me, it's just it's the obvious. And if I wasn't going for Edward, I'd go with a wild card and Ayer.
And the last question came from Ted Can Dan, who asked, wait, what asked Div this question, but it's something we discussed.
Tin Can Dan, he's not
He
a
loves
fan of me.
he loves getting the videos of you up. So,
Jesus Christ.
it's good publicity though. We love it.
I think I'm that guy.
Yeah.
Good
so
guy.
he said we've discussed this off camera before, so we'll do it quickly. Out of which players in the current squad, if any, do you think would have got a game in the squad that last won the league title under Walter Smith? We discussed that before,
Oh wow.
and I think there's a few.
Oh my god.
Camera's gone again, but we'll
I
just
think
it'll be audio for you.
it'll be audio only for this point, cards Phil.
Do you
David, stop putting your clothes on!
just quickly, do you think there's more players from this team would get into that team than this team would get than that team would get into
Probably,
this team?
but you would like.
So Yelovich would get in this team,
Aye.
100%.
Yeah. It's so hard, mate.
It's
Alan
different
McGregor.
times. Aye, but, like which McGregor do you take?
I'll tell you that.
2020 McGregor or-
I'll tell you
I
this.
take this.
I'll tell you
McGregor.
this for a fact right now. This conversation between me and any Rangers fan becomes the steaming conversation of the night. I actually had this conversation.
Oh, with Jordan.
Because
Because that's why I brought it up to you last time.
I've said it for it. So if I was to quickly run through and give my opinions, I
You said
would take.
Whittaker, did you not?
I'd take 2012 McGregor, because I don't see why you wouldn't take a 10-year younger
It wasn't
McGregor.
2012, it was 2011, wasn't it?
2011.
Celtic
Oh,
won
it's
in
2011, right? So I'd take a 10-year younger McGregor, because I think you'd
Aye.
daft to take a
10-year younger
older
Davis.
McGregor.
10 year young guy.
I'd take a 10-year younger Davis.
So we're just picking the same guys.
I'd take Yelovich or Morelos.
I'd take 2011 Naismith as well, I think.
I'd take Naismith
Over
and-
Roof.
I'd take Naismith over Roof. Yep. I'd take.
Nah.
No.
Fuck Naismith.
I'd take Sasa Papac over Barisic.
Oh, was Papac still there? I don't think he was. Was
I
he?
think so,
Yeah, he was.
I'd take
Sasa Papac was tired.
I'd take Papac here, Barisic.
You take Bagheera over Hollander.
I'd take Bagheera
Aye.
Hollander. I'd put it this way. I think the 2011 Rangers team is far
It's a
better
weird
than
one
this
though, because
I
the
think this Rangers team would
the
beat it.
2011
team.
exactly.
Think so?
Yeah, because Rangers are good at beating teams
That's
that are better than them.
exactly.
Fair.
That's what's weird. That team was really good. That they weren't really flashy or that, but
Yeah.
they got the job done. They won leagues. They done the job basically. So it's such a tough one.
I'm
man.
just going to quickly jump on Instagram in case I missed anything, but
You said you have a segment.
yeah, just it was really a really quick one because this is the last show. This is the last show of the year.
I know, so very quickly while you're searching, I would just like to say to everybody who's been listening over the year, since this has been our first year of ever doing the podcast, thank you very much for listening over the year, whether it be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, whatever. 2,500 subscribers in 1 year. Me and David are very, 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 very grateful. So thank you for making this a good year, and we hope that each day have a good new year.
That's
Make
it, I'm away.
Make it happy, make it safe. What you don't know is I'm just tears streaming down my face
Right,
today.
so just to round it off, 2020 has...
David, put on your pants.
I make that joke every time the camera goes off. 2020 has been a mad year, but in terms of Scottish football, it's been very entertaining. I want from each of you your favourite moment of 2020 from the entirety of Scottish football as a whole, the best player from 2020, and a wild prediction for 2021.
Oh, Christ.
An out of the
Right,
box
best
prediction.
moment is the SPFL award in Celtic 9 in a row. I'm joking. The best moment is absolutely the quadruple treble. It was quite mad to say the least, especially the way that it was won. Best player over the course of 2020, I am going to be honest about it. I'm not going to hide away from anything. I'm going to give it to James Tavernier of Rangers. And wild prediction for 2021 is that Eddie Howe will be Celtic manager come August.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's my prediction. So there's my three.
Do you want to go next or do you want a bit more time to think? I'll give you time.
I'm going my
oh,
player of the year. I'm going Tav as well. So I'm glad we agree on one thing. My wild claim for next year doesn't need to be like in the league, does it?
No, just Scottish football.
Scotland get to the semi-finals of the Euros.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yep.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I forgot we're even at Euros. It's
There you
still
go.
not real to me.
And best moment of the year, Actually,
It could
being
be.
on this podcast,
Oh,
the day,
he's got a nice touch.
my best and my worst.
The best moment, I can't believe now that he's picked it, because the best moment is absolutely easy. It's David Marshall saving that penalty that sent us to the Euros. That is the best moment of 2020.
Country, man,
But so are we all. But it was just an amazing moment. That for me is a highlight. Player, Steve Davis for me.
Oh, right, okay.
I like him at the old snooker.
player.
No, but Stephen Davis for me. Yeah, and well claimed for 2021. Mine was going to be that Scotland will beat England at the Euros, but you've kind of outdone me with that one, so I'm going to have to change it up and go with the fact
Did
that...
want to win the league?
No, I was going to say we get promoted, but I don't think that's as wild a claim
Nesbitt top
as...
scorer on the Euros.
That's as wild a claim as it would be. Wild claim... Billy Gilmore will play every game for Scotland in the Euros.
Every game for Scotland in the Euros.
That's a wild claim.
I know it's a wild claim. That's certainly a wild claim.
Chelsea are playing poorly just now, and he's been on the fringes. He'll come into that team. You watch.
Okay.
There we go.
That wraps it up, ladies and gentlemen. David, thank you for coming back to me, because it's handy.
Everyone else has left.
Exactly. Div, it's a pleasure to have you on as always. And as I said before, I hope you have a shite Saturday. But
Fuck you.
Apart from that,
But all the best for the new year.
all the best for the new year.
Bunch of
and all the
sheep
best with
shackers.
the win on the way as well. I hope it's an exciting time for you.
Aye.
You shitting
People have been asking why I put weight on, you know.
You shitting yourself?
No.
No, good.
Any cravings?
Everything. All food.
Because you know how like
Put the weight on because I'm
you know, they always
pregnant,
say-
obviously. That's a joke.
But that's why everyone always says the dad gets cravings as well. That's a thing, is it not?
Aye.
Apparently,
think it
just
is.
tell everyone it is. Anyway.
Aye.
That's the case. Right, like, subscribe, follow, blah blah blah. Instagram, get on Div's channel. You'll have some content.
Happy
up
New Year,
on
everyone.
this week, and have a happy and safe New Year. We'll
Why am I
see
waving at the camera?